Okay, on this exercise, we're going to create and populate a table from a database. We're going to use SQL. We're going to retrieve it using like a web service like a script, and finally test it with a remote machine. In our case, it's going to be a local remote machine. I'm doing this on a Mac OS, Sonoma. The database is going to be SQLite because it's built into the Mac. And again, we're going to go on this little exercise in 4 steps. On step 1, we're going to do the database, what's related to it. On step 2, we're going to have the script to populate the database. On step 3, we're going to see if we can use like a GUI tool to visualize the data. And step 4 is just, retrieve the data via this web service like code. And of course, we have to also test it from a remote machine. We want to run this from a Windows machine accessing this, on our local network. And that should do it. All right. To the database, I want to use the SQLite, which is built into the Mac. But I'm going to try it first to see if I can update it. I can get a later version. So do this basic command and let it go. Typing is always not so good. Okay, it's going. Got it. I already had it anyway. So you do need the SQLite, which is built into the Mac, and I just updated it or upgraded it. So the next thing is how do we call this from the what you call the Python, right? We're doing this through the web interface. So I got some sample code here to do that, and let me show you that here. So I assume you guys know some basic database. So you see here, this is this is the code. This is the path of my database. Of course, the first time it's going to be no tables there. So I'm going to create this one. I'm going to insert this command, and then just get it back and print it on the screen. Very easy, right? So let's go with that. So I went here. I make the directory hanging from CGI Bing. And now let me just change these ownerships so you can see this from the web. Well, actually I have to change the right path. CGI Bing. Alright, that's it. And the last command, change the mode. But I had the wrong from the CGI Bing. There you go. It's got to be a sudo. Of course it won't let me. No wonder. Okay, now I did it. So we look at the files. There's my DB. And it's a proper ownership and rights. So we're ready to go. And this is the file. See here. Hanging from the CGI Bing. There we go. And it's my data, blah, blah, blah. So let's save this file and run it from the web. There. So this is my file. DB query, that's the file I showed you before. Let's run it one more time after those changes. Aha, you see? Hero, let's run it again. It should be 2 now. 3, 4. See, it's inserting into the database and printing it out. Let me show you again the code, which is working really good. Let me bring the code back so I can show it to you guys. See, here's the code. So he opens the database, creates a table. If it's not there, then start inserting this, right? Every time I call it, insert one more. And this is what, and then we just print it out on the web. So you see how easy it is to call the database from the web page via Python. So we're almost there. So the next step is going to be I'm going to put a web service and access this via the web service. Why do I do that? Because in the end I want to have this whole thing mixed with a OpenAI call, so I can get like a custom inventory. I want it to be available to the OpenAI to query with a natural language. On SQLite, for the GUI guys, there is this tool called SQLite Browser. It's here on my old drive, and that will let you visualize, your tables and stuff. You can even, has like a command line. You can issue some SQL things. This is pretty cool. So let's open the database that we created on the samples that I did before. Let me open it here. Let me find my, there is my folder. There it is. And within that I have my CGI, and I put my DB right here. So let's load this file up. Okay, you see here the tables, and if you want to look at the data, you just go to browse data, you select the table and go to browse data. See, that's the 4 rows that we inserted on via that Python script. That's it. And see here, you can actually do execute SQL, and you can run a little SQL command, if you like to play with SQL. So this is not too bad. I mean, this gives you a GUI view of your data. Plus basic code, I'm in CGI being, so it's just very, very basic. So here we're gonna pull out the data from that table we just made on the last step, and it's right here. You see, there's the path to our database. We check if it's there with a simple select, and we just JSON the thing out. That's all. We see once it's in JSON, you can grab it, from a query in your calling page. So then it's an API. Actually, it's a web service. This is the basic on CGI Bing. Later on, we can put, this other fancy stuff to make, parameters and all this blah, blah, blah thing. But this is the basic. Once we get this, we're ready to go. In the next video, I'll plug this to an OpenAI API. And the whole thing will be done. All right, so now that the file is here, let me save it. And let's run it. Let's run it from, it's called grab message. So let's grab it from the browser. There is my local host. That's the last thing which we did when we inserted rows. We have 4 rows on this table. And now let's grab the messages. Right, is that what I call the file? I think so. Let's see, let's just try it. Let's go for it. Of course I got an error. And that more than likely is a rights issue. That's always the case. So let's look at here. See, my grab messages is not runnable, so let's change the mode. Check it out. So now it's executable, so let's try it again. Still have some problem here. Let's see what the problem is now. I was debugging something before, so let me grab that file here. So what's it complaining about? So it's just a little syntax error, so we're good. Let me just double check on that and figure out what's going on with this. This is my code I had before launch. I'm gonna call now this little code that we made to grab the messages. And there we go, you see? It's returning the messages on the JSON format. So if you call this from another page, you can just grab this and process accordingly. So that's it. See, you see, we got the database here. Let me show you the layout here. The database is here. We just inserted 4 rows with the first command, and now we put it out using this grab messages here. So actually, if we want to call it from the, this is the path. So you send this path, and it can be called from anywhere else. I'm gonna prove that calling it from another machine here locally. All right, that's the final test. But everything is looking good. Code is done. So this is my little Mac. I need to know the IP so I can access it from the other machine. So you go here, you run the ifconfig -8, and you get all these guys, you see? And we go to this little Windows box, look. I'm punching that IP. This is my basic page here. Now I'm gonna go to call that URL, this one right here, this URL right here. Right, CGI Bing grab messages. Okay, so there it is. Okay, finally I type it right. So now let's go. So we have to give more access. So I had to edit my HTTPD conf, and I had to add this line here, the CGI script, Python. That will make, to run from my remote machine, which is this other laptop. All right, so let me save it and carry on. Okay, save that. Now let me restart the Apache. Okay, it is. So now you can come back to the other Windows machine and refresh that page. Let's see. Okay, I had to fiddle with my HTTPD config on my Mac, but I got it. I had to add a port. So now we should be able to pull the... Okay, I think finally I typed it right. Let me see. Let's go for it. There you go. So you see, this is the remote machine. I'm calling this grab messages, which is kind of my web service, and it's reading the database from a remote machine with no cables. See? All right, that's it. That's it. The whole thing is working.